Let's talk about the Phantom Menace.
I am doing a very long and in-depth review of the Phantom Menace.
I rewatched the Phantom Menace tonight because, I don't know, I'm trying to get excited for Star Wars and trying to feverishly get my videos out for the whole Star Wars saga before the new movie. I started pretty late, and I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It's my favorite movie franchise. You guys haven't noticed in my videos when I do my rating, it's right next to a Star Wars poster. I have a poster of A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. I've been to HMV 4 or 5 times looking for the Empire one. They didn't have it in stock. Dang it. I went there a couple days ago and I wanted to put it back here behind me so I could finally have something in my background. Oh well, looking for that in the future. And this is a Star Wars shirt. Yeah. Has like information. Where on which this side? Yeah. I have a couple Star Wars shirts. I have a lot of Star Wars merch. I have like a couple figurines. I have a clock of a stormtrooper. Yeah, I'm just a huge fan. And speaking honestly, The Phantom Menace is actually my first movie watching experience. That's my first, well, maybe not my first movie watching experience, but it's the first memory I have of movie watching. The first memory was you put out your hand and people fly. And I was 3 years old when The Phantom Menace came out, so I grew up with the prequels. And I'm going to be honest with you, I loved the prequels for a long time. Until I was mid-teens, I loved the prequels. Because I grew up with them, and I played in the backyard imagining I was Anakin Skywalker. Anyway, Star Wars is really important to me. It's subjectively my favorite movie franchise. And like a lot of other people in the world, it means a lot to me. And I can poke holes in the argument of people saying that people love the originals because of only nostalgia. I like the prequels because of nostalgia because I grew up with them. But objectively looking at them, I can see that they suck. And the originals are really good. So there. So yeah, let's start. This is probably going to be a long video because I sat down and watched the movie and I took 3 pages of notes. Sorry. Okay, The Phantom Menace. I jotted down a few quick things at the beginning of the movie, just like little things. I couldn't resist smiling at the opening titles when it was like Star Wars. But as soon as the opening crawl started, the movie sucked. The first sentence, I'll read it to you. Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Senate. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. It's basically a really pseudo-intellectual way to say that people disagree about the trade routes, and some people are unhappy about it. The opening crawl of this movie is so wordy. It goes on to say, while the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates. So the movie knows that it spends too much time sitting on their ass and talking. It knows, doesn't change it, but it knows. And the first line that Obi-Wan Kenobi says in the movie is, I have a bad feeling about this. Because yeah, it's a Star Wars movie, right? That was a line in the old Star Wars movies. It's a Star Wars movie. Get it? Get it? So I'll talk about the things that everybody kind of hates about this movie first. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks is a terrible character. He's awful. He's terrible in every single way. Not only may or may not he be a racial stereotype and a little bit racist, but he's so annoying and he detracts so much from the movie. He just pulls the movie down so much. Anytime the movie gets anywhere, there's this stupid bit with stupid music where Jar Jar goes and does something really slapstick and stupid. His only character trait is that he's stupid. He's not clumsy like he says he is. He's stupid. No one likes him in the movie. I don't understand why they take him places. He is completely ineffectual, adds nothing positive to the movie, is not funny in any single way. He's a terrible character, and I'm glad that they minimized his role in the prequels to come. I forgot how terrible he is. George Lucas's writing in all of the prequels suck. So this is the first one. His dialogue sucks. His dialogue, it goes like this. I feel this way about the issue. This is how I feel and what is at stake for me. Well, this is how I feel about the issue, and this is how it's different from your issue, and this is how it adds the stakes for me. There's a line in the movie where Anakin is doing the rip-off Death Star thing, which I laughed at because it's such a terrible ripoff of the Death Star battle, where he's in the cockpit, he's doing his thing, and he says the words, "This is tense." Do you want to hear the way he said the words? Okay. This is tense! Terrible writing. Here's another terrible line, and I'm going to deliver it exactly the way that the actor delivered it. The communication disruption can only mean one thing. Invasion. Basically, this whole video is going to be me naming things and then doing, like, reaction shots, like, just to let you know. Yeah, midichlorians suck. Hey, you remember those old Star Wars movies where Obi-Wan Kenobi described the Force as something cool and actually pretty true? Well, gladly you enjoyed that, because in the Phantom Menace, we're going to explain it by science. Midichlorians. Fuck midichlorians. And of course, much has been said about the whole high ground, low ground thing, where at the end of the movie, by the way, obvious spoilers, everyone's seen the movie. In one of the last scenes where Obi-Wan Kenobi is hanging on by the edge, Obi-Wan doesn't have a lightsaber. He uses the Force to pull the lightsaber to him while doing a super jump over Darth Maul, catching the lightsaber and chopping him in half. Everyone has already said that that's stupid because in episode 3, Obi-Wan was like, I have the high ground, it's over, and then Anakin tried to high jump him, but Obi-Wan cut off his arm and 2 of his legs. And Darth Maul didn't do that because plot conveniences. Now I'm just going to start naming things that bothered me. Droids. Droids are fucking stupid. Like the Trade Federation droids, they're stupid. And they're useless. The Jedi could take out all of them. It's not even a fight. The Jedi could just go up against every single one that was in the Gungan battle and just take out all of them. Now the droid Dekas, the ones that roll and have the shields, those are pretty cool. I wish that there was more threats that were like dynamic like that. The Viceroys at the beginning of the movie, like the ones that are like, they were in the ventilation shaft. Not only is that kind of racist, may or may not be a little bit racist, but it's just a stupid accent. And do they have a different language? They never speak the different language. Can you see how little thought was put into this? All the characters from the original movies, they have their own kind of language, and the accent, like it does in all accents, originates from that use of language and the mouth muscles that you use to speak that language and in coordination with English. Nope, Viceroys, they just change the emphasis of words because the Jedi are so powerful that there's never any stakes. The Jedi are superheroes, and nothing ever poses a threat to them until Darth Maul. And for some reason, they need the help of all these people. Jar Jar Binks. Like, in that scene where all the fish are coming after them when they're in their boat underwater. The big fishes are coming in, and they're pretty scary, and Jar Jar's like, ah! And then the Jedi, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they're just like... Literally. Their facial expression isn't much different than that. There is no shock or terror whatsoever. They're just like, let's begin talking about Anakin. So they befriend Anakin on Tatooine in the most stupidest of ways. It's not because of any likeness or motivation or any character making any effort. But, you know, Anakin talks to Sebulba when Sebulba's picking on Jar Jar. And then they're like, hey, you're pretty cool. And then they hang out for a bit. And that's never explained. Like, he just walks with them after that. They have, like, a casual encounter, and Qui-Gon's like, thanks for doing that. And then he just starts walking with them. And the actor who played Anakin in Episode 1, he's terrible. He's terrible. And I'm sorry, like, I rag on child performances all the time, because they're rarely that good. And this one is just another example about how they're not good. He's not a good Anakin. He's not a good actor. His line readings suck. Like, it's never attached to anything or purposeful in any way. It's not a good performance. And he comes off as such a jerk, at least to me. Like, his lines give him nothing but, oh, Anakin is the best kid ever. But Jake Lloyd just puts off the jerk vibe. And I wish that I could root for Anakin. That's one of my big flaws with Anakin in the entire prequel trilogy, is that I'm never on his side. And I want to be on his side, because wouldn't that be terrible? At the end of the trilogy, he becomes evil and my heart is fucking ripped out. He just comes off as a jerk in this movie. And honestly, that one point in the movie where Yoda, like, fucking brought him down to size. And I was like, no, we're not going to train you because you have fear, and this is how it is. We're not going to do it. I was like, yeah, you tell him, Yoda. That's correct. Anakin doesn't have a father because Jesus illusions. No, I understand that there's actually, like, a really good story behind that. The lore of it all is really fascinating, but it's a Jesus illusion. And nothing against Christians, I'm getting into some dark territory. Nothing against that, but it's very cliche in movies. The Star Wars music is classic, of course, and it's good in the prequels too. It's obviously much better in the originals. But my issue is that the music never stops playing in this movie. The music just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and it's static as fucking fuck. Sorry for the language, by the way. And here's another awkward thing. I think it was a bit of an awkward choice to have Anakin be like 9, Padme be like 14 or 16 or whatever she was. Natalie Portman looked much older than that at the time of filming, and Jake Lloyd looked like he was fucking 6. So what I wanted throughout the entire prequel trilogy was an inkling of a romance, even if it was just a flirtation. I wanted the romance overall to be better. And I can understand why it would be a little bit weird to force the romance in this movie, because it looks weird. But I wish at least the charm of it was there. Here's another thing. Coruscant sucks. I hate the planet of Coruscant. Hey, you remember those awesome locations that we did in the original trilogy and the multitude of planets that we went to with incredible diversity of environment? Well, here's Coruscant, which is a city. All we're going to do on Coruscant is talk while sitting in chairs. Coruscant sucks. Of course, the acting in the movie sucks. All the actors suck. Ewan McGregor is fine, serviceable, gets better. But all the other acting sucks. Much has been said about George Lucas being a director that doesn't really like actors, and much has been said that he's not a very good communicator on set. Overall, I don't really think that George Lucas is that good of an artist. That's the thing. He created Star Wars, which is very near and dear to me, obviously. But he's never been a good communicator, and there's been a lot of talk about how he's not really that great of a director. Case in point, this movie, the shot selection sucks. No selection of shot or camera angle ever means anything. I guess that's the thing that just, more artsy movies do. But the new movie's doing it. You see that one shot in the trailer where it's like this sweeping shot coming from Finn, and then Poe said hello, and then Finn was like, oh, it was just like a sweeping shot. Didn't get those in the prequels. And I talked earlier about that scene with Yoda bringing Anakin down to size. He said, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. That line is, I've always found it to be a little bit wordy, but it's a good line. And I feel like George Lucas wrote that line and then ignored it. Because Jake Lloyd's performance and Hayden Christensen's performance, I guess to a lesser extent, is extremely superficial about that. There's the anger, there's the hate, there's the suffering, but it's never generated from a place of fear. It's never real in any way. It never feels real in any way. The decoy queen was a very predictable twist. I guess I knew it this time, but, from the very beginning, it's predictable. By the way, Keira Knightley, if you didn't know that, was the decoy double. The lightsaber fights are better in the prequels than the originals, just for, the intensity of the fight. And some of the lightsaber battle in the movie, like the end duel of fates, is good. When it comes down to just Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, it's pretty good. But I really, really don't like, in all the prequels, how much hand-to-hand combat has effect in the lightsaber battles. All the movement of the battles from place to place takes place because someone punches someone. They drop their lightsabers for a second and then go like, I think it's stupid.